Hi, my name is Rex Basterfield, and this is a quick demo and operation user guide of my Quilcom 7-saw synthesizer. The design is based on the Roland JP8000 super saw section, the oscillator, which was analysed in great detail by Adam Szabo. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce his name, but he did a paper on this which gave lots of useful insights into the method that must have been used to create such a device. This said there's a very simple exploration of that type of oscillator which can produce a very rich and varied sound. So we just have an oscillator, a tracking filter, one LFO and some basic effects here, and as I'll demonstrate later, with just that setup you can create quite a wide range of sounds, richly varied sounds. So I'll just talk briefly about the 7-saw oscillator. We have 7 aliased sawtooth generators, as in the original Roland device. We can detune 3 of them positive and 3 of them negative in terms of pitch using the detune control, and we can alter the level of the 2 sets of side oscillators with a mix control here, as in the original. This is level compensated to some extent, so as you alter the mix, the center oscillator will reduce in amplitude. Now, very importantly, the phase of each of the 7 oscillators is determined by a polyphonic random system. So every note you press, you will get a different phase relationship between the 7 oscillators, and this is purely random. This means that you won't get the sound repeating with every key press. If I can just demonstrate this on the MIDI keyboard. So each key produces a different sound as though it was free running. Adam very skillfully demonstrated that the aliasing artifacts lower than the actual note pitch was handled by a tracking high-pass filter. This means that if you scope the output of the 7-saw oscillator, you won't see sawtooth waveforms, you'll see something somewhat different, and I was able to reproduce Adam's graphs by suitably tuning the filter. The filter is hidden because it's part of the oscillator in effect. The higher pitched artifacts add a certain quality to the sound, like a sort of airiness or slight noise, which I can demonstrate with the presets. So I'm going to show you the basic sound of the oscillator with no effects, and then show you what the detuner mix does to it. So this is a single sawtooth. I'll bring up the mix to maximum, and then I will do the detune. So that should give you some idea of the function of these 2 very important knobs on the synthesizer. So now I'll run through some, or maybe even all of the presets, and just give you some idea of what you can achieve with this lovely oscillator and a very simple architecture. So there you go. I hope you can excuse my lack of playing skills, but I hope that gives you some idea of what we can do with such a simple architecture and a very powerful oscillator technique. So finally, I'd like to discuss a little bit about the operation of the synth, which is very straightforward really. We have the system panel on the left that controls amount of polyphony. We can go down to mono, in which case these buttons here come into play more usefully. This is the pitch bend range here. We can set to 3 semitones there. There's a variable amount of glide we can produce. Sorry, we need that on mono. Okay. The mod wheel frequency is a dedicated LFO to produce pitch modulation. Now this is the tuning for the whole instrument. This is an LFO here which can go into quite a high frequency. Can't remember the amount, but it can well into the audio range. This can be used to modulate the tracking filter here, and also it can be, using this knob here, set to modulate the frequency of the instrument to produce an FM. If we go into the audio range, you get some very nice effects with static FM. We have various waveforms to choose for the LFO here. The oscillator we've already discussed. This has its own envelope generator. The velocity control here, when it's set anti-clockwise, there's no velocity, everything's at maximum. If you increase it clockwise, the softer notes become more quiet. This is a level control which kind of interacts with the volume control, but is useful to have as a set independent control so that you can overdrive the distortion effect should you wish to. The tracking filter is quite important. If this button is on and all of these are on 0, that's the envelope amount from this envelope generator, or the LFO amount, or the manual cutoff frequency, then this tuning becomes relevant. So you can, if we turn on the filter there, now filter's in circuit. Ooh, let's turn the global FM off. Then you'll see this is a low pass filter which is tuned to the fundamental, and we can go. usual range of low pass, high pass, band pass, notch and peaking. This is not to be confused with the filter that's built into the oscillators, which simply gets rid of the lower frequencies of the aliasing effect. So we have the usual sort of a manual cutoff, resonance, and we can have the bring in the envelope amount, which adds to the tracking level. Or, as I said before, the LFO. And the envelope generator. This can be velocity sensitive as well. Finally, we have the effects section here, which I think is signal flows from top to bottom. We can introduce distortion and overdrive that. Chorus effect, delay and reverb. Now, one important difference, I believe, between this and the JP8000 Super Saw is that I've pre-patched the 7 oscillators to be panned across the stereo field. So if we go back to, that's just the oscillators now. So this is stereo, this is mono. Now, as we go towards mono, you'll notice it seems to get louder because there is more adding and subtracting of the various waveforms in the from the oscillator. So I think that's about it. I hope you have a bit of fun with it and perhaps are able to make some use of the 7 Saw.